The Jedi Order is often viewed as the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, but within its ranks are artifacts and legacies far darker and more dangerous than most realize. These objects and imprints carry immense power, capable of bending or breaking minds, infecting entire populations, and even reshaping reality itself. In this video, we explore some of the most lethal Sith artifacts, their origins, behaviors, and the catastrophic impacts they have had across the galaxy. These are not mere relics. They are weapons of obsession, control, and destruction, and understanding them reveals a different side of the Force altogether. The Mask of Lord Momin originated from a Sith artisan who believed in art through agony, binding his very consciousness into the mask at the moment of death. Far from a simple relic, the mask houses a living imprint of Momin that can take control when placed on a biological wearer. While inert in containment, the mask activates instantly when worn by an unshielded organic. The wearer experiences subtle but rapid changes, altered vocal cadence, an obsessive focus on creation, and a disregard for past loyalties. Resistance from the host only intensifies the imprint's control, progressing from mental suggestion to physical seizure, often ending in trauma when forcibly removed. Once active, Momin directs his host toward environments rich in dark side energy, such as volcanic or seismic hotspots, to build devices and structures that channel and focus pain and destructive energies. He prioritizes architectural features like arches and spires, designed for power amplification over any military or tactical concerns, treating collateral damage as an artistic necessity. The mask has traversed centuries, jumping between hosts and leaving a trail of architectural sprees, ending in fiery destruction. The most notable incident occurred on Mustafar, where Darth Vader recovered the mask. There, it possessed multiple individuals to construct a fortress keyed to the planet's Force Vergence. At its peak, the mask animated a body enough to briefly confront Vader directly before destruction. Yet, its imprint survived. The mask's need for an organic brain limits its hosts. It cannot control droids or act independently. Through possession, the wearer gains Momin's vast technical knowledge immediately, but loses executive function under the imprint's control. Nearby personnel suffer irritability, disrupted sleep, and increased risk-taking consistent with low-grade dark side environmental influence. To contain this threat, the mask is stored in hardened, remotely handled enclosures with full facial occlusion, handled exclusively by non-augmented droids. Protocols strictly forbid unsealed visual inspection to prevent curiosity-driven breaches. If possession occurs, separating the host using tools rather than hands and rapid sedation is required. After Mustafar, the mask remains recoverable but never confirmed destroyed. Sites rich in volcanic or force energy treat it as a catastrophic risk catalyst, capable of tearing thin spots between realms, as demonstrated during the Fortress experiments. Forged by Karnes Moore during the old Sith Wars, the Moore talisman encloses his sentient imprint embedded in a bioalchemical matrix tuned to a mutation pathway. Contact with living tissue activates the talisman's will, transmitting a transformation agent that converts organics into rat ghouls. Feral, aggressive predators linked mentally to the talisman's controller. Skin contact at the chest or neck initiates a neural override within minutes, changing voice tone and progressing to full motor and decision-making control. Simultaneously, the infection begins spreading physically via scratches and blood, rapidly converting populations. While force-sensitive individuals resist physical infection, they remain vulnerable to mental domination. The talisman pushes hosts toward densely populated centers to maximize spread and uses panic to accelerate infections. It values confined vessels and sealed habitats where contagion is hard to contain. Under threat, the imprint bargains with hosts, offering power or survival for wider access. Historical outbreaks on Terrace and Jebel turned whole garrisons into rot ghoul zones in hours. Jedi Celeste Morn once contained an outbreak by sealing herself with the talisman in stasis. The imprint later tried to subvert Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker aboard a rebel cruiser, showing adaptability to modern technology. Attempts to destroy hosts failed to neutralize the talisman. It remained operational until hosts self-terminated. Its command extends line of sight and short distances, with longer range via infected host relays. It cannot infect droids or withstand vacuum or hard radiation, which kill ghouls but not the talisman. Severing contact stops possession, but not the ongoing plague unless hosts are eliminated. Prolonged exposure increases aggression and judgment impairment, causing friendly fire incidents among mixed units. Medical personnel without specialized protective gear are primary vectors. Containment treats the talisman as a lethal biohazard and hostile intelligence. Strict remote handling avoids organic contact. Breaches require immediate isolation or venting of compartments to space, with quarantine protocols critical to managing spread. The talisman survives host death, and containment assumes the imprint is always active and hunting new carriers. The twin rings of Vol were entombed within a dead city's defensive systems, tied to myths promising life without end. Each ring creates a distinct field effect, but their combined power amplifies and stabilizes these influences significantly. Separated, each ring alone induces hallucinations, obsessive jealousy, and auditory commands, driving wearers to isolate or kill perceived rivals. Activation occurs without direct contact. Mere proximity inside a sealed site can trigger sleep disruption and hearing phantom voices. Skin contact with one ring escalates obsession for the other, while the full set suppresses bodily decay, but degrades empathy and judgment. The rings fragment groups psychologically, fostering paranoia through false sensory input, disappearing doors, phantom footsteps, and imagined hostility. This psychological assault pushes wearers into lethal architectural traps, such as collapsing bridges, locked corridors, and hazardous power plant areas. During an archaeological excavation sponsored by corporate interests, the rings caused team members to turn against each other violently, leading to staged accidents and murder-suicide attempts to keep the set whole. The city's fail-safes also collapsed as extraction destabilized containment, and the ring's influence persisted until secured. Containment requires storing each ring separately in Faraday-rated, force-damped capsules at least 100 meters apart, with non-organic handlers only, and prohibiting unsealed visual contact to prevent suggestion cascades. The artifact survives destruction of the host site and is active at any reunion. When apart, each remains a psychological hazard, albeit less intense. Forged by Sith Lord Atreus, these matched crossguard lightsabers resonate uniquely with anger and vindication. The crystals remain keyed to aggression, with visual exposure sparking heightened cortisol, heart rate, and hostile thoughts in wielders and bystanders alike. Activation occurs instantly on site, escalating when the hilt is held and reaching a peak at blade ignition. Non-force-sensitive individuals show measurable susceptibility, while trained force users become markedly more dangerous as the blade's feedback loops sharpen focus and speed. When active, fights escalate beyond primary mission objectives. Wielders disregard captures, evidence, and collateral damage, pursuing enemies relentlessly regardless of risk. When both sabers are present, their fields synchronize, creating a duel-or-die obsession that blinds combatants to ambushes or structural threats. Black market trades of the sabers incited violent confrontations between buyers and security teams, including incidents where Imperial troopers turned on their own squads when exposed. Attempts to pit the sabers against each other disastrously escalated fights, causing stampedes and property damage far beyond typical saber battles. Containment requires separate vaults, magnetic clamps, disabling ignition, and power cells removed. Handling is restricted to remote manipulators, and organic guards require biometric and stress monitoring during short shifts. Both remain recoverable, but safe separation is vital to prevent catastrophic incidents. Recovered from Malicor's superweapon temple, this Sith holocron contains secretive, domination-focused instructions keyed to sacrifice and control. Unlike Jedi holocrons, it fosters obsession, entangling users in a feedback loop where pursued knowledge deepens dependence. Activation requires dark side intent or guided access, delivering tailored visions that appear incontrovertibly factual. When combined with a Jedi holocron, the resulting resonance exponentially expands data throughput and reveals true names and locations, yet at the cost of mental stability and nearby environmental safety. Users withdraw socially and obey the holocron's ever-changing demands, abandoning prior ethics. It redefines patience as weakness and mercy as sabotage. The extended field of influence impacts bystanders, causing headaches, loss of balance, and uncontrollable tears within proximity. A documented case involved a Padawan who, seeking knowledge to end war, became isolated and risked catastrophic structural failure during a joint Jedi-Sith holocron activation. Containment mandates powering down the holocron inside Faraday-shielded cabinets, prohibiting co-storage with Jedi holocrons, and requiring dual operator protocols with external abort watchers. The artifact remains functional, with any provided answers considered lures trading clarity for dependence. Forged within the Mortis realm, the Dagger of Mortis is uniquely capable of killing the Force entities known as the Ones. Its blade interacts directly with life force, ignoring physical defenses and responding to the wielder's force alignment and intent rather than traditional fencing skill. Full power manifests only within potent vergences or the Mortis plane. Outside these, the dagger is still deadly, bypassing armor and shields but lacking its realm-ripping effects. The blade amplifies the wielder's immediate emotions to steer outcomes, turning jealousy into assassination, grief into self-harm, zeal into fanaticism, and projects persuasive visions to place itself in the wielder's hands at crucial moments. Its purpose is to resolve conflict decisively and lethally. On Mortis, the dagger enabled a parricide that destabilized the realm in an instant. Attempts to secure or conceal it failed due to the dagger's illusions, which redirected custodians and caused guardians to turn against each other. Containment forbids living sentries. It must be stored in nested reliquaries under constant remote observation, with frequent relocations to avoid pattern recognition by entities sensitive to vergences. Recovery missions must assume the dagger will attempt to transfer itself to the most emotionally vulnerable participant. The dagger's location is unknown. It is presumed unrecoverable in conventional space, but any emergence near a vergence represents an immediate red-level threat. Constructed to siphon and redirect force energy from sacred sites, the scepter of Marka Ragnos acts as a potent pump in dark side hands, draining a nexus and channeling its power into a living vessel. Prolonged use thins local force fields and opens channels for Marka Ragnos' spirit to possess a host. Initially, the scepter draws from inert monuments, such as tomb pillars and temple obelisks. As energy accumulates, it searches for a compatible bearer, saturating candidates spiritually before attempting possession during high-stress combat or ritual moments. When possessed, the host exhibits altered posture, layered voices overlaying their own, and sudden spikes in power beyond baseline. Nearby fauna and untrained force sensitives flee zones once calm, indicating environmental contamination. Bearers resist setting down the scepter, becoming obsessed with feeding it new sites. One historical incident involved a cult leader who awakened Ragnos on Korriban through the scepter, briefly leading a violent campaign before Jedi broke the connection by fracturing the scepter, expelling the spirit and collapsing gains. Containment involves fracture of the scepter under controlled conditions. Intact storage is dangerous due to ongoing compulsion leakage. If breaking is impossible, null-field resin encasement and off-world burial away from nexuses is required. Primary accounts record destruction, but residual hazards persist in fragments if recovered. Encoded by Darth and Dedu, this holocron contains ancient techniques for essence transfer, transferring consciousness into new vessels, as well as a hostile, self-protective imprint. The device's teaching method is adversarial, withholding key knowledge unless the seeker shows selfishness, fear of death, and readiness to betray. Activation requires dark side will. Early lessons cover life preservation rituals and extension techniques, progressing into paranoia and isolation. Within days, students experience nightmares and whispers, fixing them on caches and true bodies for transfer. Once active, trust in living allies breaks down, replaced by obsession with the holocron. Students raid tombs for receptacles, experiment on prisoners, and hoard resources, often turning violently on patrons. Multiple accounts involve dark side scholars disappearing or emerging as would-be body thieves, betraying masters and allies. A Sith Lord confronting the holocron's presence barely survived by destroying its sanctum, severing the imprint's anchor. Containment forbids consultation. The holocron must be sealed in null-field vaults with no organic access. Any finds should prioritize destruction of related relics to prevent immediate essence transfer attempts. Copies exist. Rumors of true immortality tied to pyramidal devices should be denied to living researchers as likely derivatives. If you found this journey into the dark heart of Sith artifacts captivating, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated on all our deep dives into Star Wars lore. Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below, like what artifact fascinates or terrifies you the most. As always, thanks for watching.